Hey everyone, welcome to Front Page Bets. Mike Savetich here again with Jerry Ahern. And it's conference championship week in college basketball, but it's also the Players Championship starts at TPC Sawgrass on Thursday. And Jerry and I are two big golf fans. Jerry's covered golf, for publications before. I've played golf. I've tried to play golf my whole life. Still never had a hole in one, Jerry, and that's something that I really, I think I played with a guy, Mike Easterling in Alabama. And he, before every par three, he would say, never had a hole in one, never had a hole in one. And then he'd hit and it wouldn't go in. And after a while, I'm like, East, why do you keep saying that? He's like, because I just want to be able to say I called it before I hit it. So if it ever goes in, I can just say never had a hole in one. And then it goes in. And it's a random story, but I always think about that every time I tee up on a par three. Never had a hole in one.
If it makes you feel any better, Mike, I've never had an ace either, but I have been in the company of one player who had one. Dan Kilbridge, former colleague of mine, we were playing at a course down in Orlando, and he hits his tee shot on this par three, and like no one's on the course. It's kind of a dog track we're playing at, and we walk up to the hole and don't see the ball. And he's like, I think it went in. And I'm like, there's not a chance in hell.
There's no way.
Sure enough, it was in the cup, and went in to like buy a round of drinks for the field, but there was no one there. So it was just Danny and I enjoying his ace.
Oh man, he got lucky that there wasn't a lot of people in there, because I've seen some guys come in and get broke.
Exactly.
So yeah, I've come about a couple inches of a hole in one. But the thing about golf, Jerry, is like on that one swing, that one hole, when you put it all together, it's like it's the game that keeps you coming back. And I remember Bob Costas was saying something a long time ago about you'll never be like Tiger Woods or Jack Nicklaus or anybody, but on one hole, you could be better than any pro. Like you could all tee off and you could have that hole. And I think that's kind of the game of golf is like over 18 holes or a weekend, you're not going to beat anybody, but you get one hole, you can kind of hang in there. And I've had some opportunity to play with some pros, in pro-ams and things like that. And there's a couple holes I'm like, I won that hole. Like, you know what I mean? You got a little swag, or at least you pushed on it. But anyway.
Well, this will refute that theory right off the bat when it comes to TPC Sawgrass, because I did have the opportunity to play there. And so we're at 17, waiting on the tee, and there's this maybe 10 or 11-year-old kid hitting in front of us, sticks it to 3 feet, makes the putt, does the Tiger Woods celebratory dance, the whole thing. Mom and dad are with him. He walks off. I get up, chunk it into the water once, chunk it into the water twice, over club and hit it like 50 yards past the hole a third time. I'm just like, God, I hate this game.
Exactly. It's a humbling game. It's a 4-letter word for a reason, right? And
good way to ruin a walk.
Yeah, good walk spoiled. Exactly right. So, we're talking about TPC. We're talking about, obviously the 17th green is the picturesque hole. I think, other than like Amen Corner and maybe Pebble Beach, so it was at, I think it's 7 on Pebble Beach, and maybe some, there's a par 3. You talk about that 17th hole, but that's kind of where the tournament is won or lost a lot of times at the Players. And, we walk into this week with only Scotty Scheffler is really anybody with the top 15, top 20 to have won a tournament. So a lot of the top ranked players in the world have struggled early, and you're coming into a tournament and a weekend that really kind of gears everybody up for the Masters, gears everybody up for kind of that stretch in there where you got, the majors almost kind of back to back under the new schedule. It's a tournament that really kind of makes or breaks the early part of the season in a sense, because, if you can show well there and win that, it really puts you on a good trajectory.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's not really a course that favors any one type of player, like a bomber or a great ball striker or an exemplary putter or any of those things. If you look at the history of that tournament, a lot of different age players, experienced players, types of games have won. I mean, Justin Thomas is the defending champ, who will be kind of a favorite this week as well, but I like a guy who's kind of struggled there this week, Patrick Cantlay, because I think he's just been tremendously consistent otherwise this season, and is due to break through at a big event such as this one.
Yeah, Cantlay's been, he was strong last year, obviously he had had a championship season, FedEx Cup, and was the player of the year. You look at those guys like that, and like Xander Schauffele, there's a lot of these younger guys that aren't like, they're not the Brooks Koepkas, they're not the Justin Thomases or the Jordan Spieths, they're younger guys, but they never really had those huge breakthrough wins, or the tournament championship major wins early in their career, but they're consistent. Like you look at the leaderboard week in and week out, you see these guys up there, and it's kind of, for me as a golf fan, I like the parity, but I also like the guys that I see that I cheer for. I want to see them up at the top of the list. Like I want to see Rory in contention every week. I want to see, JT in contention every week. I want to see those guys, and maybe I'm a little bit old school. Like I want to see some of the older players still play well, and it not be this young game where, everybody hits it 450 yards and then whoever's putting the best. I want ball strikers. I want guys that are working the course. I don't, Bryson DeChambeau, hits it a mile, but, consistently see on the greens or your approach shots, things like that. So this is, of course, like you said, TPC Sawgrass, where you got to kind of have it all, and you got to be able to do it all, and maybe even in a hole. You look at 18, you look at 17, the front nine, kind of not really unheard of. You can shoot yourself out of a tournament as well there.
Well, and the other thing is the weather's going to be a little bit crummy, at least for parts of it this week. You're going to get some rain and some wind, and right. Some baked out ground a little bit at some point. So great equalizer in golf, is Mother Nature. And we're going to see a little bit of that this week as well.
Yeah, we saw it last week at Bay Hill too, with winds.
Oh my gosh,
25 mile an hour coming in, in Orlando, and that's in Central Florida, if there is such a thing. Being out there closer to the coast, you're gonna have some of that weather too in Florida. And finally about golf, and we'll move on to college basketball. But this tournament to me should be the fourth major. Like I understand in replacing the PGA Championship. Now I understand why we have the PGA and the US Open, the USGA, the PGA Tour, or the PGA, Professionals Golf Association. I understand that, but for me and my money, like this tournament is because of the course, and I kind of like the courses where you have to play the course, not moving it around too. Obviously what I love the Masters is it's played at Augusta National. And you would say, well, if you play that course so many times, you should know it. I mean, we both know that the course wins. If you play it enough, it's like Vegas, the house is going to win, sooner or later. And that's why I like TPC, and I know they moved it around, and you have a little bit more perspective of this, but like, what do you think about how, and now they're all the majors are kind of crammed in now at the beginning of the year. And you've got the Players, which, we call a fifth major. Then you've got the Masters. Then you've got the PGA, and then the US Open, and then the British Open, all kind of stacked, where it used to be, a couple months in between those.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's, the biggest reason is probably the potential for, weather later in the year not being as conducive to play. And then obviously you got the FedEx Cup playoffs, which, has sort of extended the season proper. And you've got those playoff events going, late into September, butting up against the NFL. So, I mean, like everything in professional sports, it's about TV and it's about money, right? And that's, kind of the way that this thing shook down. The Players is always going to be a special tournament. I think the players themselves care about it deeply. And that's why it will be such an exciting event. And you're right, Sawgrass is an unbelievable course that's just sort of made for those special moments that you're like, I remember when I saw that shot, to win the Players, in any given year. You look back at some of the footage that they're showing this week, they're playing the Stevie Nicks song, Edge of 17, and, some of the crazy shots and stuff. It's fun. And I mean, that's what we remember, right? Are the great moments, whether it's in golf or basketball or football or what have you.
Exactly. And that the whole 17, and he didn't win, but I remember Freddie Couples hits one in the water. This was late 90s, maybe. Hits one in the water. His third shot, he dunks, just straight in the hole, for par. So I'll always remember that. You're absolutely right. Switching gears, college basketball conference tournaments start up this week. We've already had some automatic bids, automatic qualifiers get in for winning their tournaments. The top Super Six started this week. We've got a lot of championship Saturday and Sunday games. FrontPageBets will have it all here. We'll break down those championship games early Saturday morning, and then into Sunday, the championship games. And then we'll have, Selection Sunday. The brackets come out at 6 o'clock on Sunday night, and we'll have we'll break down each region, looking at, who was properly seeded, who maybe wasn't properly seeded, some upset bids. We'll have all that here on FrontPageBets. But Jared, just going into the weekend, what are you looking most forward to? What conference tournament, maybe what matchups, what teams, really have to kind of, this is the time of the year where, you spend all year trying to get in the tournament, and you could play yourself in or out in 1 or 2 games in a conference tournament.
No question. I mean, I'm looking forward to a lot of them, and a lot of the, the power conference tournaments. I'll start with the Big East. I think Villanova's got a lot to prove in terms of its seeding, and is the team that I like to win that tournament. One of the reasons I do is because of senior leadership with Colin Gillespie. So that's one I'll be keeping a close eye on. The Big Ten, another wide open affair. A lot of teams battling for the top there. My top pick there is Illinois, and I'm going to go with Kofi Coburn as the player who makes the big difference, the big guy. He can do some damage, and I think he will. And then you've got the SEC as well, another dogfights ahead. I think a lot of people are down with Auburn or Kentucky. I'm going to go with Arkansas, Coach Eric Musselman. I think the way that program has come together, and they've shown the ability to beat all those top teams in the conference. I like them, and I like them improving their seed line a little bit for the NCAAs.
And Note at Arkansas, that guy, puts his team on his back. Yeah, he's, and you mentioned the SEC. You've got Auburn, kind of, a budding program. Can they be consistent and win when they need to? They went to the Final Four a couple of years ago. Bruce Pearl's got them probably the best players in the country. You got probably the best defensive shot blocker in the country, and Walker Kessler. And then you've got Jabari Smith, who'd be a 1 or 2 pick in the NBA draft next year as a freshman at Auburn. But again, like Joe Sell talked about last week, like we wrote about earlier this week, they're a team with their guards. You just never know what you're going to get. Are they going to make the play that, hey, that was a great play, or are they going to throw the ball away or dribble the ball out? You've got teams like that. And you've also, the ACC is one of the, I want to watch this could be the year that the ACC gets 5 teams. And that would probably be, I'm sure there's a record in there somewhere. I probably should have checked it out, but I can't remember the last time the ACC had one of the fewest teams in any of the conferences. You usually look at the Big East and the ACC, and they're getting in 7, 8, sometimes 9 teams. And now this year, you're really scratching, you're really digging deep to find that 4th or 5th best team to get in. Now, again, somebody can play themselves in. Virginia Tech could get hot. Virginia with their defense, if they put it all together, North Carolina, if they play like they played, I think they're in, but if they played like they played against Duke on Saturday, they could be, they could knock somebody else out by winning that automatically. So, I'm looking forward to those type games. And then the A10 too. I love the A10 tournament, being in Richmond for the last couple of years. You have VCU in Richmond. VCU, the fan base here in Richmond for them is incredible. But I love that tournament, and it's really kind of one of those. You talk about just dogfight. Every game is just an exciting game. So I'm also looking for that as a mid-major tournament to keep an eye on as well. And so we'll have it all here at FrontPageBets. Next week, again, we'll break down the brackets. We'll have Joe Sullivan back on to talk about where we think the tournament will go on Monday. The first 4 is on Tuesday, Wednesday. Then you get the first round going on Thursday. St. Patrick's Day, Jerry. I know, it happens every couple of years. It's a national holiday for you and I both, but you have the NCAA tournament on St. Patty's Day. The stars are aligning here.